Hey team, Coach Sam here, and welcome back to this week's Locker Talk, a mini podcast for mid-career professionals looking to make moves in their career. Today's story takes place maybe in a little bit different of a setting than we're used to. It takes place in my kitchen. I was hungry, sad, tired, distracted, way behind on every single thing I needed to do, and I was trying to get way too much done at once. And then I burned the garlic on my favorite meal that I was trying to make for myself as a 100% comfort item. Now, hang with me, right? This isn't a cooking podcast by any means, but that moment taught me something huge about career clarity. Well, it didn't really teach it to me. It reminded me of a lesson I've learned many times over. And it might just shift how you think about your next move. So here's what happened. I had a plan. The newsletter was written, the blog was ready. All I needed was one last review before I hit send. But then I was late to a call with my coach, and that turned into a deeper conversation than I expected, which made the meeting run over. And so I was trying to run out the door to go feed my daughter, who still refuses a bottle and a cup. If you know, you know, and if you've been there. Um, and as soon as I was running, as right when I was ready to run out the door, my husband stopped me and had bad news about one of our friends, going through an issue. And so I drove to the daycare to feed my daughter. I was really upset, thinking about my friend, thinking about all the hard things I've done in my life, and thinking, well, what comfort could I give? And then I get to school, see my daughter. She's just almost one. And I spend time smiling and giggling with her and feeding her and having all this great, little mini moment in the middle of the day. And then I leave her very sad to go back to work. And, it's the working parent's heartbreak where, your kid's looking at you while you're walking away from them to go do the things that you need to do. And by the time I got back, I was starving and I hadn't gotten my newsletter out, which normally is out before I leave to go feed my daughter. And I just decided I wanted this meal that I love. And one of the things and one of the steps is to saute garlic, which I've done a million billion times in my life. And I decided, well, I'll get my computer. I will type this while I, boil water and, cook this and do whatever I need to do. And of course, it didn't work, right? Multitasking doesn't work that way. And next thing I knew, the garlic was really, really dark brown. And I just looked at it and I thought, this is not how this day was supposed to go. But it was that moment that I realized I needed to stop. I needed to stop ignoring the signs that something was going to go bad here because I was trying to do too much. I was trying to fit a lot in. I had a lot on my mind, and I needed to make an adjustment. And this is something that I've experienced before, right? In my career, in bigger spaces where you feel like, oh, I didn't like that, but I'll deal with it later, right? Or yeah, this keeps happening, but I'll adjust, right? I'll figure out a better system later. I will, figure out my next move when something slows down, or when the kids get to a certain age, or when I cross a certain threshold. And we ignore all these little tiny signs, right? All these little tiny smoking pans, aromatic garlic in the air that really are just signals to us that we should have been paying attention, right? Burning the garlic isn't about burning the garlic. It's that moment when your pace, pressure, and plans all collide and you are forced to pay attention. And in your career, those moments are everywhere, right? It's that one-on-one that left you rattled or drained. It's that project that just leaves you exhausted at the end of the day. It's that leadership meeting where you felt invisible, the day you realized you're only staying because it's fine and it's too much work to figure out the next thing. We get so good at pushing through, we forget to listen. Most mid-career pros I work with aren't in the wrong job because they made some huge mistake or some, huge decision that, left them in this place that they don't want to be in. Most of the time, It's because they just stopped asking themselves questions when they saw the signs, right? They stopped asking themselves the question of, is this the version of success I believe in? Is this the path taking me where I want to go? My favorite quote from James Clear's Atomic Habits is, you should be far more concerned with your trajectory than your current results. But sometimes those current results, actually all the time, those current results can be the little flags that we should be paying attention to, right? That's really what our emotions are at the end of the day. That feeling of burnout, that stress at the end of every single workday, those are our little tiny flags telling you, hey, I need you to pay attention to what's happening. I need you to pay attention to what's going on here. So what I'm challenging with you this week is, the next time something breaks the routine, right? Instead of rushing to fix it, get curious. Figure out what that moment is telling you. Ask yourself, what is this moment and why do I feel the way that I do? What shifted in me that I haven't really acknowledged? Am I sprinting towards something that no longer fits where I am, who I am, or where I want to go? Burning the garlic isn't the end of the meal. It actually turned out to be pretty delicious, because it turns out if you saute garlic a really long time, it becomes really sweet and very flavorful. Who knew? I guess I didn't. And so it's that moment. It's that moment to choose a better flavor, to choose to make a couple adjustments, figure out what you need to do to work with the life that you've got, work with the situation that you're in. But you've got to stop long enough to notice that moment. And if you've been feeling that nudge, like you're due for a better story, not just a better job, I did build something new that I'm super, super excited about. It's called the Career Story Accelerator, and it starts October 19th, which is my sister's birthday. And in 5 weeks, we're going to help you write out your career story. Really put pen to paper to everything that you've been building and figuring out what that means for what you want to build next, and really build those plays that get you there. So we're going to spend the first week building out that career story narrative. Then we're going to take that and really put it into a playbook on the assets that you can use, how to make things work for you based on this story and this clarity that you have of who you are. And then figuring out how to connect with people, how to really tell impactful stories, whether it's at your current job so that you can get that boss to help promote you, or help, really promote who you are internally, or land interviews, right? Whatever direction you're really wanting to go. And then figuring out the negotiations and things that you need to really launch and move forward. So if that's something that's interests you, DM me, email me. All you have to say is story, and I'll know what you mean, and we can have a chat. Make it easy to make those next moves. And if you're one of my locker room subscribers, if you're on the starting lineup tier, I did drop our Star Story Builder that we've got in our assets for you to use, just to help you figure out and get going on this. But I really, at the end of the day, don't want you to settle for fine. I don't want you to settle for brushing all of those feelings and little nudges and little burnt garlic moments under the rug. I want you to take the moment to figure out what they mean for your trajectory and really where you want to go. So let's get clear, get honest, and get a story that actually fits who you are now and where you want to go.